Greetings. I'm Andrew. I also go by Drew, and I'd love to welcome you to week 1 of your small groups. So today I'm going to just kind of quickly narrate through some of the Jamboard slides that I created to help prompt your discussion today. And I hope that it's fruitful, that it allows you all to have enough to start getting to know one another while simultaneously revealing yourself, right, and your spirituality, your spiritual experience, so that everybody gets to know one another. So, without further ado, jump in about general guidelines and agreements, right? This space of spiritual life community, your small groups, it's a space to listen. Listening to yourself and listening to your experience, right, which takes time. We have to, oftentimes, we kind of have to take a time out to be able to pay attention to our experience and name those things that are coming up, because a lot of what we're experiencing, it's not always happening on a conscious level, right? A lot of the deepest experiences that we're having, sometimes they're happening on a subconscious level. So taking the time to name those and name those out loud to other people, it's really revelatory, right? It helps us get a better understanding of who we are and what are those powerful things that are happening in our life, or at least a little bit more profound things that are happening in our lives. That being said, right, you should have your own experience. One of my greatest mentors always used to say that to the group of us who lived in intentional community. Like, just have your own experience. Why? Because we're so... we can so easily fall into this sort of compare and despair. Like, oh, so-and-so around me, my friend, my classmate, my coworker, they're going about things this way, or they're saying that they're experiencing this. Should I be feeling that way too? I have a different experience from them. Am I wrong, right? No, stop. As soon as you start comparing, it's very likely to lead to despair. So don't compare and despair. Have your own experience and trust your own experience, because that's what spirituality is, right? It's listening to that experience and how to best live your life in such a way that experience, you can fulfill all the potential and use all the gifts that you have been given. So have your own experience. Number 2, be authentic and vulnerable. You're not going to learn much about yourself without revealing those deepest, sort of more intimate and vulnerable parts of yourself. And also, right, being a good listener helps sort of propel us towards that vulnerability, right? If you hear somebody share vulnerably, share deeply about something that's going on in their life, whether it's positive or not so positive, that emboldens you to say, like, yeah, that moves me to share. So be authentic, be vulnerable, have your own experience, and last but not least, keep confidentiality, right? These small groups, I'm sure that you will be eventually hearing deeply personal aspects of people's lives and experience. And so out of respect for yourself and for your group members, keep that confidential. And I want to also get us on the same page about spirituality, right? Everybody has their own experience, like I said, which is great. But we also could use some common terminology so that we're on the same page. So the couple of quotes that I really like from my own graduate studies in spirituality, I'm taking from this text by David Perrin. It's studying Christian spirituality, but the quotes that I'm going to take are from the first couple of pages, which he presents it from a humanist and psychological perspective. So it is tradition neutral, if you will. Okay, so first of all, authentic spirituality, he says, is not simply to be identified with interior and private life of the individual, as reflected in either exterior practices and rituals or interior meditations and reflections. In other words, authentic spirituality is not to be identified with only one part of the life of the person, cut off from other aspects. Spiritual life is not separate from body life, from the entire sphere of human action and human desire, the psychological, bodily, historical, social, political, aesthetic, intellectual, and other dimensions of the human subject of spiritual experience are integral to the understanding of spirituality. End quote. So spirituality, it's not just one little part of our sort of interior lives. Spirituality encompasses everything that we do, and being able to name those things that we do are in our active lives, in the things that we're thinking, in the emotions that we're experiencing. It's all part of what comes together as our spirituality. Second, right? Authentic spiritualities, they involve the integration of all aspects of life and a unified whole, as the previous quote mentioned. Authentic life refers to living in an overall spirit of goodwill. It refers to a commitment to look critically at oneself and one's relationships, as well as an openness to question objectively and regularly all aspects of living. All this is with a view to deepening self-appreciation as well as self-giving to others. Right? Self-appreciation, self-giving, if that's part of your spirituality, it becomes authentic. Right? This is not some esoteric definition of spirituality which sort of takes away that aspect of ourselves and into some other realm. Right? This is very bodily, and this isn't just about what's best for me. This is about how do I maximize my experience and my gifts for the betterment of this world, right? You're all at a Jesuit institution. St. Ignatius used to say that his goal was to form people, right? Or that people would want to go out and set the world on fire, right? With passion, bringing good into the world. And that's what we want this space to be for you all as well. Finally, the spiritual center is the deepest center of the person. It is the place of surrender to authenticity and love. It is here that human beings are open to the transcendent, whatever that is for the individual. It is here that human beings experience ultimate reality and their most profound desires are satisfied. Life-giving and authentic spiritualities ought to make people feel at home in a world of difference and multiplicity. They lead to breathtaking possibilities that bring people to care genuinely for others and the world. So, it's where their most profound desires are satisfied. So desire will be a central piece in the prompts that you're going to have in your small groups, because you got to pay attention to that, because that's where in this deepest part of yourself that some of those transcendent possibilities are happening. So from here, I would ask that everyone, right, part of growing together in community is also being able to be silent and be intentional together. So I would hope that amongst the regular norms that each group takes some time to be silent together, and be open to creating your own rituals, right? If you want to switch off where the person brings in an opening thought, an opening prayer, or leads the group in some sort of ritual to get things started, that'd be awesome. And then for today, after you spend some time in silence together, I invite you to spend some more time mapping out some of the touchstones of your spiritual autobiography so that you can share that with your group as a way to get to know one another, but also to start to share some of those deeper aspects. And again, I encourage you to share boldly and slowly. Take your time with this. You don't have to have everything planned out as you're sharing. In fact, listen to where you're being pulled as you share, right? If it's to tell a story of a particular experience, or if it's to name a text, tradition, a ritual that has been really important for how you understand transcendence, how you understand the divine, that's going to be really powerful for you to name for yourself, but it's going to be also very powerful for others who are listening. So the last slide that you should have access to has a few prompts that might help you along in your sharing. But again, in anything in these small groups that we ever create, The purpose of it is to prompt the discussion. If whatever that I've provided doesn't prompt things for you, go with whatever does. Trust your own experience and come to this group ready, again, to reveal that deepest part of yourself so that you all can connect in that deepest part. Good luck, blessings, and thank you for being a part of this community.